Well, hello and welcome to Battle of Champions. We are coming to you live from Adelaide, the city of churches. You can hear the church bells going right behind me, and it's only appropriate that I have with me the High Priest of Cricket in sunny Gavaskar. Sai bhai, India versus Bangladesh. I know that Bangladesh probably not the team that they were a few years ago. They're going through a bit of a churn, but India-Bangladesh always a very juicy encounter. I can't help but look back at the last T20 game, 2016. So India-Bangladesh are fiery contests usually.
Always, because I think somehow or the other, when you see a Bangladesh team, when it comes to a World Cup event, they tend to lift themselves up and give that much more. In a bilateral series, maybe it's probably not the same. India have probably been the dominant team in bilaterals, but when it comes to a multi-country event, particularly like the World Cup, Bangladesh team lifts itself up, and we've seen that, and that's why the match against Bangladesh has not to be taken lightly.
Okay, Saribhai talks about bilateral series. In fact, 2016 game, very fiery, went down to the last over, and we all remember MS Dhoni getting that run out. But the last time these two teams have played a T20 game, that's also 3 years ago. That was also a bilateral series. Since then, they haven't played in a T20 international. Right, we heard from the Bangladesh skipper, Shakib Saibai, he was very candid enough to accept that India are here to win the T20 World Cup. We're not here to win the T20 World Cup. And if we beat them, it will be an upset, though we will be aiming for an upset. But did you find that a bit unusual for a captain to say we're not here to win the tournament because they're still in it?
Very surprising, because they're level points with India at the moment, 4 points each. They've got 2 more matches, including this one. So they win both the matches. They get to 8 points. They get to 8 points, which means they qualify. So for him to be saying that they are not, not here to win the tournament is a bit surprising. Also, it could be a very good ploy to take pressure off his team, because anywhere it's the pressure of expectations that is the hardest to cope with, and I think that is where sometimes India has faltered, because of the pressure of expectations. And over here, maybe Shakib has done the smart thing in a way by saying, look, we are not here to win, but we'll try and give India a tough time.
I was just taking a look at the record between the two teams in T20Is, and Bangladesh have beaten India only once. Do you think that is going to have a bearing on this game, or it is just a one-off encounter? It's the World Cup.
It is the World Cup. So, what happened in the past is in the past. I don't think both teams will be looking at that. Though, of course, India will be having loads more confidence because of their record against Bangladesh. But they also know that they cannot take this game lightly. They have a few areas where they know that they need considerable improvement in the opening batting, for example. They need improvement. They need improvement in the overs between, say, the 10th to the 15th over or 8th to the 15th over. They need a lot more tightness in the bowling as well. So I guess India recognize, and the fielding. So India recognize that this is an opportunity for them to try and get their rhythm back on track again.
India has to get their rhythm back. We've been in Adelaide for 2 days. It's been raining non-stop. It's right now very cold and chilly. The Indian team's practice session was also affected because of the rain. They couldn't practice outside. They were practicing indoors. And here's a detailed report of what the Indian team was focusing on. Australian summer? What Australian summer? Behind me is the beautiful Adelaide Oval, but it is very cold here. In fact, cold winds have been blowing through the last 2 days that we've been here, and it has also been raining. I'll give you the weather update as well, but first let me quickly update you about what the Indian team did. Now, despite this cold weather, 2 burning questions that are pertaining to the Indian team, both regarding the selection. The first one is Dinesh Karthik. Now, at the practice session that the Indian team had today, they were forced to practice indoors because it was raining, so they couldn't practice outdoors. Indoor practice session, Dinesh Karthik spent most of the time only wicket keeping, and that too he was trying to bend and then get up, clearly trying to test his lower back. Whether he will be fit to play or not, that is the big question. Remember, when he was trying to save a bouncer in the game versus South Africa, he landed awkwardly and then had back spasm. Will he be fit to play the game versus Bangladesh? This is what the coach of the team, Rahul Dravid, had to say. So while the Indian team is still sweating over Dinesh Karthik's fitness, the other question pertaining to the selection has been that of KL Rahul. Now, KL Rahul has not been in the best of form in this edition of the T20 World Cup, but Rahul Dravid, you heard earlier as well, has thrown his weight behind him, saying that the team is backing him. But the interesting visuals to note at the practice session at the Adelaide Oval was that of Virat Kohli having a lengthy conversation with KL Rahul. Clearly, even though you couldn't hear it, but from the gestures you could make out clearly they were talking about that rising ball outside the off stump. That's been the nemesis of KL Rahul. So Virat Kohli, the man in form, seems to be giving some sort of tips to KL Rahul of how to succeed in these bouncy conditions. Rahul Dravid had earlier pointed out that they have faith in KL Rahul. He has all the shots in the book, and against a quality bowling attack, he reminded the media present at the press conference that, remember, KL Rahul got a lot of runs versus Australia leading up to the tournament. So that's how, and that's what the Indian team did. Finally, before I sign off, here's the quick weather update. 2 days, as I mentioned, it had been raining, but there's good weather forecast on match day for the Indian team. India, of course, will be playing second. Before that will be the Netherlands-Zimbabwe game earlier in the day, and then India's game, and you're expected to have a full quota of 40 overs. So on that front, India have been very lucky. 3 games, full games they've had, and the 4th is expected to go the same way. This is Nikhil Naz from the Adelaide Oval for India Today. Right, KL Rahul putting in the hard yards there. Dinesh Karthik's fitness, as Rahul Dravid pointed out, they'll take a call right before the game, but he seemed to be doing okay. He was wicket-keeping as well as batting. Saibhai, in terms of the playing 11, do you see any changes from the game versus South Africa? At that time, many thought that you needed that extra batsman, but do you go back to 6 bowlers here?
No, I don't think so. I think it worked well for you. You made it tough for South Africa to chase 133 in 20 overs. So the bowling has done well. I don't think the bowling really, unless of course there's somebody's got a niggle. I would think that because you're faltering it a little bit at the top and also sometimes in the middle, it might be an idea to still go in with the extra batsman. Now, whether that is going to be the Deepak Hooda, or because the square boundaries here are shorter than the straight boundaries, whether you want to take the left-handed Rishabh Pant. So that's a question that the Indian team think tank will be looking at.
Anyway, with Deepak Hooda not bowling, it's going to be only a batsman you're looking at if you're playing between Pant and Hooda?
Yes, but so in all fairness, Hooda should be also given another opportunity with one game on a pitch which he doesn't get to play too often back home, fast and bouncy pitch. You can't really judge anybody because of that. So I would imagine that they might still stick with the same team, go in with 5 bowlers and stick with Hooda, because you really need that little bit of push in the 17th to the 20th over. Dinesh Karthik has not been able to get that going. So maybe somebody like a Hooda, of course, Hooda got out for a duck in 3-4 deliveries, but he also is capable of doing that. So I think another chance to Hooda is possibly what the team will look to do.
In terms of spinner, I understand that Bangladesh have enough left-handed batsmen, so you may be looking at an Ashwin to continue. But I've also seen some of their records, and they've been susceptible with a leg spinner as well. So do you think of Yuzi Chahal at this moment?
Well, I mean, Yuzi Chahal is one of those guys he's got a super temperament because he's very confident wherever he bowls. Very seldom have you seen him down, even when he has bowled a bad over where he's been taken for maybe a couple of sixes. He's the kind of person who wants the ball back. So that's a very admirable quality in any bowler. Now, not having played the 3 matches, whether they take a chance, because this becomes a crucial game, whether they take a chance with him in this game remains to be seen.
As Sunnybai says, this is a crucial game for India. Rahul Dravid, on the eve of this game, said that they're looking at 4 games. You have to win those 4 games if you want to be champions, and that starts right here with the game versus Bangladesh. But Sunnybai was pointing out earlier, maybe few flaws that you could rectify here, maybe get back into the rhythm, because certain areas of concern still remain for the Indian team, and we take a closer look at that. Saiva, in terms of concern, the one thing that comes to your mind is KL Rahul. Rahul Dravid was very frank. He said, listen, we're banking him. We know who's going to be opening here come the day. I saw a lot of time Virat Kohli spent with him on practice. And even though I couldn't hear what they're talking, with the gestures, you could clearly make out that he's talking about that, ball outside off stump, the rising ball. Maybe if you need to take somebody's tip, Virat Kohli would be the right guy. One, he's in form. The other, you're playing in Adelaide Oval, a ground he absolutely loves. So KL Rahul has gone to the right guy to take some tips if you want.
Yes, exactly. Look, he's the senior player in the team. with bags of runs under his belt in every format of the game. And as you said, this has been his favorite ground. So surely, yes, I think he will be able to tell him about what this pitch offers to a batsman and to a bowler. More importantly, from what you say, I think he was just probably trying to say that in the initial stages, the ball around the off stump causes problems to anybody who comes into bat. Because you're not certain where your off stump is, you're not certain where the ball is going to move away from you or is going to come in. So you tend to play at deliveries you would otherwise leave. And in this format, you can't leave deliveries. You've got to try and make every delivery count for something or the other. So you tend to play at it. He's got out a couple of times, dragging the ball onto the stumps. At Perth, the extra bounce possibly did him. But he's a class act. Let's not forget he's a class act. Every time I see Rahul not scoring runs, you just get the impression he does not actually know the kind of ability he has. He doesn't seem to believe in himself. He is a fabulous player. He's got loads of ability. It's just that he's got to start believing. He's just got to start saying, no, I'm going to go and, knock the stuffing out of you. Yeah. He's got to have that kind of an attitude. That, look, I'm not going to go and just take guard. I'm going to, I want him to swagger. I want him to swagger onto the ground. He's a tall man. I mean, come on. He's a tall guy. He swaggers onto the field. It'll make a whole difference to his game.
Right. So it's not probably KL Rahul's technique or the way he's batting. Probably it's a confidence thing with KL Rahul. If he needs some swagger, Surya Kumar Yadav, one guy he can look up to. Virat Kohli has enough swagger. But talking about Virat Kohli, he's been very happy on the field, scoring a lot of runs. Wasn't quite happy off the field when there was this breach of privacy in his hotel room. Somebody shot that visual there, put it out on social media. He came out and said that, listen, we know fans love us, that's all right, but you got to allow us to have some sort of privacy. Plenty of talk around it. Rahul Dravid, when he came and spoke to the press, he was asked this question, and though Virat was here for practice, Rahul Dravid said that we've let the concerned authorities know and they are handling it. Right, Saibhai, before we wrap up, you travel over the world, hotel rooms, you get mobbed by fans, I see it very often. As much as everyone loves that adulation, that love, there's certain areas, certain lines that shouldn't be crossed. And would you say that it was crossed in that case with Virat Kohli?
Definitely, yes. I think, today with this phone cameras, there is really a very thin line between your privacy and where you're in the public domain. Sometimes you're sitting in the car as well, going to a match, or maybe not going to a match, and when a camera is inside and trying to take you, is that invasion of privacy? I don't know. But yes, I think in your hotel room, 100%. In your hotel room, 100% you need that privacy. Nobody should be, doing what was done. I didn't see the video, but I heard about it, and I think it is just simply not done.
When Sanjay was talking about the phone camera, I got a bit worried. I was filming him the other day on my phone camera whilst he was singing a Devanand song. But Sanjay, thank you.
Well, that is it. See, I was thinking something. How was I to know you were recording me?
Yeah, I know. That's why I was a bit... next time I'm going to take... But I asked you. I kind of took your permission and you were fine. And only after that I did it. So here's a caution to everyone. Be a fan. Love your favorite cricketer. But have the courtesy of asking if you want to film certain things with them or without them. But just have the courtesy of asking. I think that's the only lesson that we can give you from a cold, chilly Adelaide. Doesn't feel like an Australian summer. But I'll give you some good news before we wrap up. Even though it's been raining the last 2 days, expect it to be clear tomorrow when India play. And India have been lucky as far as the weather is concerned so far in the tournament. May that luck continue. Sunny Gavaskar, thanks so much for joining us. That's all the time that we have on our special program. You're watching Battle of Champions. We're coming to you live from Adelaide.
ज़रूरत है एक श्रीमती की कलावती की सेवा करे जो पति की ज़रूरत है एक श्रीमती की कलावती की सेवा करे जो पति की ज़रूरत है